it's tough because of the way that everything on Io is predicated on ice. You can't make water without oxygen on Io. So even the robot was in a position where a lot of the actual industries that he needed, especially industries that would be fueling his chem plants, etc., weren't available to him because of the fact that he couldn't provide the fundamental resource he needed, and I wasn't letting it get cheap.
Chem plants don't need, because fuel you just get out of the air, so for your chems you put up...
yes, you're right,
It's food, so oxygen becomes... Okay, here we are. So oxygen becomes the basis of the life support market. So as a robot, since you don't have to, upkeep those, you can get away with it. You miss out on some good markets, no doubt, but you can get away with it. All right.
Anyway,
here
we are at game number 4, Group C of our Newcomers tournament. We are having a 4-person free-for-all between Vigilo Confido, First Person, Retalk, and I am Carries. I am Carl's. I am NC Game Wizard, and I'm here with...
Many copies.
All right, let's take a look at this map.
Now, got some interesting things going on here with this rocky terrain, but there's a very interesting, if you kind of go a little bit south and a little bit east of the colony, there's a cave next to very high aluminum and iron.
Yes.
And you could kind of double tile that. It's near basalt. You could make some good stuff happen there. And Viglio is coming down as right by ice, right by basalt as a scientist. Can't object to that in the slightest.
No. Going into a basalt platform and 2 steel mills, which is a little unusual, but probably will work out.
The basalt, that was really expensive because he had to pay for that electronics early. I am not so much a fan of that.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's looking at the price on silicon.
He may be, but just early you want to get your upgrades, and you want to build geothermal plants on that basalt because geotherms use uranium, and you can get that for free if you build it on basalt. So... And especially since everyone has come down as a steel-using faction, that is not bad. We've got I Am Charles coming down as an elite with 2 basalt platforms and 2 steel. That works because basalt gives him that silicon needed for the upgrades. So that's good. And then, again... The thing I noted is caves. Watch out for these caves because you will get better. If he had placed that mine 1 tile up onto that cave, he would be getting low iron and very high aluminum instead of medium aluminum.
The black market is online.
That is correct.
And then he could have had 2 mines and not gone into the basalt platform yet. Because although
HQ has been upgraded.
Retalk appears to be pioneering the carbon robot.
Expansive HQ has been upgraded.
He can't put up wind turbines. There are no wind turbines here.
That's correct, yes. I think my co-host here is trying to point out that a robot would typically want to be generating power, and the only benefit that he could really gain from this much carbon in the game off would be if he could put up wind turbines with it, but he can't because it ain't Mars.
Yeah.
Also...
Because now he's putting down that solar panel, and I think he's realizing, oh.
Retalk in a position where he has claimed iron, but he's producing oxygen on the tiles as a robot in the early game while the price on oxygen's collapsing.
I like what Viglio is doing here in terms of producing a little bit of oxygen, and then instead of producing steel, is producing glass, because glass is also very expensive.
Yes.
Needs it to upgrade.
And that got him there much quicker than if he was trying to make steel.
Mm-hmm. I just approve of that all around, and is now the leader ahead of the robot, who should be slightly faster. And yeah, someone says, yeah, you can't have that. That's too much.
I almost would have preferred to see Retalk come down basically where his solar condensers currently are. He would have his iron then, Jason, and as a robot, you can kind of ship everything else. He's got oxygen over there. It would be fine. But he's really prioritizing the heck out of that carbon.
You know what he should have done if he was going to come down as robot? You see that if you come down even further south of that, there is a double high uranium iron tile with other god tiles surrounding it. God tiles is the lingo for one tile with two resources that uses the same extractor for it. So, two mineable resources, two quarryable resources. If you have water and something else, it's nice but not as good because you can't get it both with the same thing. So he could have he could have come down near there and then just shipped the metal a short ways and been fine. I mean, there was a little plateau, although nothing spectacular about that plateau. Just ship the metals a short ways and you're fine.
Yeah. It would be doable.
It'd be doable, and he'd also be near other ice kind of things. So, you know, he could ship in the ice as well, short ways.
Basically what Retalk has ended up doing here is he has made the price on so cheap that it's very easy for get into these fuel production.
Yep, because building fuel ion collectors costs 80 carbon, which can get really expensive.
Oh, Jesus. Retalk made the old R problem, the old R mistake we talked about earlier, which is the symbol for a scavenger used to be R. People would pick that thinking it was robot.
I hate those filthy bandits.
Yeah. So Retalk thought he had picked scavenger when he had actually picked robotic, and that's why he has classic scavenger found.
He must be using some weird thing because the scavenger, the robot, is actually now a Y inside a gear. So he must be having either some old-timey mod on for the classic nostalgia. But there's a reason they updated that. They updated that for a very good reason.
It might even be in the options. I'm not positive about that, though.
Okay. And looks like some pleasure domes are coming up here. First person is putting down his pleasure dome. And it looks like I Am Charles has bought a spot to put down his pleasure dome. So thankfully they're going to be competing over this market here. And first person getting into it first is certainly going to hurt the profits of the elite there. A little bit of competition on that elite is going to go a long way.
I don't know how worried I am about this elite.
I'm not as worried about this elite, but in terms of making good moves so elites can't get back in the game, this is the kind of thing you do. You get money for yourself and you hurt another player at the same time. That's always a good thing. But Viglio, I think, might be the pack leader at this point. Possibly with first person also there. Both of them are going for patent labs now. Viglio also has a hacker array running. And is hacking up the price of glass.
Price manipulations to begin.
First person definitely treating Vigilo as if they were the leader.
Well, they're both on
HQ secure themselves.
4. Viglio, if he can start getting his patent lab working right away, is going to win any patent because he's got that boost. Transparent aluminum, therefore making other players, where he gets, when he needs to build with glass, he gets to instead just use aluminum. Now, what he wants to not be doing is auto-selling glass if he's putting in a hack to make glass more expensive. You stop auto-selling it, you hoard it up, and you wait for the market to get high, and then you shunt a bunch of it into the market and you reap those profits. If you're
I'm
auto-selling
currently
into
experiencing
it,
technical difficulties and can't see the screen.
Who is?
Me.
You are. Oh.
Yes. So I'm going to be probably switching. And
someone tried to dynamite a patent lab, Viglio's patent lab, and got Goon Squad, and he's redefending. He's now getting liquid batteries, which Oxygen, liquid batteries is never a bad thing. It gives you constant access to oxygen, although oxygen is not that expensive now. Possibly,
I'm now watching off your screen, so there's going to be a delay.
Yeah, possibly getting something like superconductor as power's creeping up, and because water processors make a little bit of power, if you actually have a triangle of water processors that are superconducted producing power, you can sometimes get away with not having power producing buildings. Other things you might want to get is nanotech. I mean, it's not a bad patent. Considering the
nanotech would be a huge deal right now with the price on that steel.
Synthetic meat. Considering the price of food at $2.55, synthetic meat basically, you treat your farms as always boosted, meaning you can't later boost them, but they're not boosts on this market, so who cares? But it's basically huge. Ooh, and I think he put down a spy where he's seeing what the other person's patent lab is going after. So he's not trying to lose a patent race, and now he's getting synthetic meat.
I still would not rule out grabbing nanotech right after, though, because look at the price on that steel.
Yes, nanotech is always good, and now he's running 4 steel mills, just making bank. And now first person has gotten up to HQ5, and there comes down that freeze. Although that freeze did not hit the...
5?
Yeah. Which shuts down half of his base, because even though, look, he's in a tight situation, he's kind of noodled himself out. There's a little bit of blobbing, but he's tried to noodle himself out. So no one can take all of him down at once. There goes synthetic meat. And as soon as he upgrades, I expect to see some farms coming down. And,
I'm surprised not see him just get out of the solar panels and straight into farms.
Yeah. Ooh, and the colony is... Well, he does have... they're going to be always on. Nighttime is not going to matter because he got liquid batteries, so...
Yeah, but... farms.
Yeah, and this optimization center that's being auctioned off now is going to be a boon to anyone who gets it. Because these on-world prices are still pretty high. You just start optimizing chems, and it's going to have only 10% optimization, but it's an extra tile. And Viglio picks it up. I don't think anything bad there, considering the value of electronics at that point. He's optimizing steel. Not a bad move. 4 steel mills running. He doesn't have to pay for iron, and iron's also through the roof. It's just a general good day for him. He's getting most of the patents, and it looks like he's going to miss out on nanotech because first person is now going for nanotech. Although he does have
be all right, though.
He does have it spied. Dynamites are 3K. Blow up the patent lab. Start patenting it yourself. And while he's rewriting for the patent lab to build, you swoop in and get nanotech.
Well, it doesn't look like that's going to happen because he's got a black market pull down.
Yeah, unfortunately. Nanotech is going to be very valuable. And now he's going for virtual reality. Very good. And the Elite doesn't have to worry about this because the Elite can just pick it up later. Elites should primarily, unless they have an extreme need, they need to fix with a patent lab immediately, start going for optimizations before that. But currently the only one...
In this case, our Elite is making fuel they shouldn't be.
Yeah. The problem now, Viglio picked up that optimization center and is not using it. He needs to have that thing basically constantly running. Queue up a few optimizations. Just queue them up.
I see this happen a lot with players who get into a good late game position like this, where you've got all of these options, but you're kind of paralyzed with, well, which button do I click?
Sometimes just click one good button is the right answer.
Yeah. Getting thinking machines, though, is something I can 100% support, and if he was saving up money for that, probably worth doing.
44k launches on oxygen, not bad, and he's going to have an advantage in oxygen since his oxygen's always on. He's also got 2 claims he hasn't used. He needs to be making some chems considering that chems are what he's going to use to optimize and to get patents. Now,
the real question is, what should he be hacking right now?
That's the one I don't know, because I tend not to play hacks. Hacks are a little bit higher to do.
An elite HQ has been upgraded.
He's right now he's trying to take out I Am Charles, but the problem is
The black market is open for
it's not necessarily going to go as well as he hopes. And first person it says, you know what? I'm just going to grab a space elevator.
First person also getting aggressive with retalk dock.
And the thing about it is, in about 20 seconds, it's going to be impossible for anyone to also build a space elevator because a solar frost is coming in, which is going to reduce building speed by 60 seconds. So everyone's going to be pretty much locked into their building choices here in 10 seconds.
Yep.
So, and why is a solar panel turned off? A solar panel should never be turned off. It's...
No, it's not. It's just...
Viglio was doing well. I was really rooting for him. He had a lot of things going, but first person here is going to make it up because...
I think if he gets a hold of I Am Charles, he'll be just fine. I really do.
But he needs to do that quickly, but he's not making the cash like he should be. And when it gets down to a race like this, whoever just can produce the most is kind of going to be in the good position. And if first person, now that Retalk has defended, I would just switch myself on to Viglio, because Viglio is already into I Am Charles. Or defend yourself and then hit Viglio and just be like, you know what, you've put everything into I Am Charles and I'm going to pick you up and then get everything into I Am Charles, and thank you for doing that hard work for me.
Either could be a good way to move for it.
And now people are noticing all these transitions are just not happening quickly.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of this particular random event, Sulfur Frost.
Or for it lasting as long as it did?
Well, a big part of it is there's nothing stopping a Sulfur Frost right after an IO Quake. And IO Quakes destroy buildings.
Fair.
I don't like those game mechanics being on the random number generator.
The IO Quakes are the ones that really get me because it's RNG about which buildings get destroyed.
Yeah, I could put up with it as long as there's not a... But I've had it happen and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, especially with remote claims. So first person is now getting his second...
First person just had a big jump in cash.
Well, first person is getting his second off-world market or space elevator online. And if he's running 2 space elevators to everyone else's none...
Advanced our production.
Yeah.
And here's what he could do. He could buy out the other half of I Am Charles and basically say, hey, guess what? That advantage you wanted, Viglio? Mine now. You don't get it. We split it 50-50, which...
So let's talk for a second about first person's found and how it's got those iron aluminum tiles. And he's making use of those. Thing is, on IO, you build your space elevator with aluminum, a lot of aluminum. So that kind of a found is precisely what you want and kind of what you want to stick with throughout the game. And that's how he's putting these space elevators up so cheaply, so quickly.
And it's just working for him. Is now Viglio has started to realize who the real target is and is switching and trying to get a space elevator of his own, but he's coming after first person, has his second online.
The black market is open for business.
Well, he is getting ganged up on a little bit.
Yes, which is the only thing that is going to do it. So what, and then, but Retalk is also ganging up on Configlio, which is not the right move here.
Yeah, this is a cluster.
This is a cluster, and it's only benefiting first person. Because now first person has tons of valid targets.
Space elevator is complete. Let's watch our profits climb.
It,
Would be so easy to
and he's basically, because he's holding 50% of I Am Charles is kind of like, I know first person's the bigger problem, but you're my bigger problem. And so
Yeah.
you kind of have to, at that point, sell out to basically indicate that you're willing to call a truce.
optimization routines
Yes.
successful.
Yes. And I would like to say, anyone who ever gets into a free-for-all with, I never sell out, better sell out and truth with me, or I will sit there and I will make you die. Not a good way to win, but it's how I do.
Well, you're not going to win either way, so...
Yeah.
Let's see here. Let me look at the optimizations, because the on-world prices have gone high, and first person has perfectly optimized electronics, and electronics are over $600.
And he's now pretty much got what he needs to have his selection of targets.
Well, he buys out Viglio because Viglio owns the most stock. He does that. He gets 2 pips back in himself. He gets half of I Am Charles. He gets a great sub, the only other sub with a space elevator.
The engineers have advanced our production.
Well,
And
that's what he did do with his money, is he bought Retalk.
I don't think that's the right move.
One thing, I'm actually 100% behind you on buying out Vigilo. There
And
might...
Viglio owns tons of patents. Is the second is optimized somewhat. Viglio would have made the better sub, hands down.
I think under certain circumstances, I might not make that call to buy Vigilo just because I would be worried about the springing back in the end game.
Mm-hmm.
But by looking at this elite, you can kind of see that they're kind of vegetating.
Well,
You know-
well, the other thing about it is, if you buy Viglio, you get half of the elite stock. So
That's
you basically,
absolutely true.
you don't care if that elite is a little bit resurgent. And it's looking like it's not going to matter, even though first person is now in D-debt.
The black market is open for
Because
business.
first person is just making way too much money.
He's too big to fail.
Yeah. But as you'll notice, stock price-wise, he's not that much more valuable than Viglio, and that's because of all that debt.
Pending market adjustments.
Yes.
And now the Retalk sub is finally starting to make money.
Our
Oh,
methods continue
well,
to
looks like
improve.
we're going to have ourselves a slobber knocker.
Yeah, because he bought half of I Am Charles, which again...
Yeah.
If you take out your biggest opponent, and now he just paid off a bunch of debt, but it's a little too late for that because Viglio already owns half your stock.
Yeah, the overall boost is going to be negligible. Probably about like $100,000 max difference.
The thing about it is, first person basically has to overcome needing to buy one more pip of stock, which I think he's going to overcome because he's got 1.5 subs and one more space elevator,
Ready to go.
Yes.
and I think that's going to do it for him.
Optimization
Price on
But-
carbon is crazy right now.
Yeah,
Successful
and the
elevation.
carbon wasn't plentiful on this map from what I remember.
It looks like only Retalk has it, and I think that might have had something to do with the person's decision to buy Retalk.
Possibly. Considering and the price of aluminum, like Retalk is basically just producing primary resources at this point and funneling it into cash.
Yes.
So,
So we're just watching. It's really close. I mean, 73 to 50.
yeah, 50k EMPs at the moment.
Yeah.
No one really used pirates or
The black market is open for business.
magnetic
viruses.
storms, and there's no teleportation on the Isle map, so that's a perfectly usable thing. Especially you could do it right in that carbon patch.
Carbon, oxygen, anything really.
Yeah. Now, it looks like here, first person's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Just coming down
There
to
just wasn't enough options for aggression for Vigilo. Not at the stage of the game we're at now.
Yeah. And so first person gets it. But
Okay.
well deserved by first person for coming in and doing that. Although I think he did take out the space elevator right there at the end. So first person was doing well. And first person perfectly optimized chems, glass, and electronics. So he was going after the high value things that you can produce a bunch of and then produce them cheaply. But yeah.
Someone asked in your channel, who did we think would win? First person, Vigilo, or first person?
So
He answered, it was first person.
And then Black Market there. Black Market is also well, Black Market, Vigilo did more Black Market than first person, but the other two did not do a lot there with Black Market. So so Vigilo definitely used the Black Market right, and then the balance sheet kind of here, our production so is do Vigilo versus there, kind of see where they made their money there. And since we're about to go to the end game, I don't have to worry about doing.
Yeah, no, we're good on that.
Post discussion, yeah. So,
Finals, round 5, are going to be taking place on Blues and Death Tacticus channels. So
yeah. And it was about 540k Offworld was the difference between Vigilo and first person there, and that was probably, yeah, that earlier getting into the Offworlds is just probably what won first person the game there.